Another preseason game completed, another win under the belt, more minutes in the tank, and more lessons learned. We're going to talk about Arsenal 3, Newcastle United 2. But before we do that, if I could just ask you to please like the video and subscribe. We're on the way now to 23,000 subscribers. Unbelievable growth on the channel this summer. And without further ado, there's just only one place to start, and it is with Max Dowman. Another unbelievable cameo for the 15-year-old off the bench. And without putting too much pressure on him, he is the best 15-year-old I have ever seen play football. It is as simple as that. The way that he is impacting games off the bench with such fearlessness, with such composure, as if this is just completely normal. As if a 15-year-old coming on and playing alongside Martin Ødegaard. And, it's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. And I'm going to show you some blurry images here, which I do apologize for, of the impact that he made. This was in the build-up, of course, to winning the penalty for the goal that Martin Ødegaard scored. And it was just so effortless. I think that's the most impressive thing about the way he dribbles with the ball. It is just seamless. It's like the ball is glued to his feet. It is like the ball is an extension of his body. And whichever way he wants to go, the ball just goes with him. And he is breaking ankles left, right, and centre. And when he gets into the box, the thing that I liked was that he slows himself down. He waits for the contact. He knows it's coming. He knows that the bumbling Joelinton is going to clash into the back of him. Joelinton at this point had already given him a nosebleed 30 seconds after he came onto the pitch. He goes down. It's a penalty. And I've long said on this channel, we need to win more penalties. It's one of our biggest weaknesses, in my opinion. If you actually break down how often we are in the box, how many touches we have in the box, how many dribbles we have in the box, relative to the number of penalties that we get. No team got fewer penalties in the Premier League last season than we did. And I know some of you will talk about the fact that referees just don't give us anything. But ultimately, I do think we need to see more of this. Max Dowman provides it. Of course, it wasn't just that. This was another dribble that he had. Again, he was outside the box. There's three men in front of him. And within 3 or 4 touches, he's wandered in and he's getting a shot off. It was a good save from John Ruddy. There was another one. Here he picked the ball up and there's not a second thought. It is drive. It is get me into a position where I can get a shot off or where I can score. And again, at the end of that dribble, gets a shot off. At that point, Nick Pope was in goal. Good save down to his right-hand side. But I just think it's so impressive. And outside of the performance itself, the club know what they've got on their hands here. He was the only youngster that came on with half an hour to go. We saw Salmon and Nichols and Harry Mananous. They all came on with about 15 minutes to go. Dowman came on with half an hour to go. Once again, he was paired up with Martin Ødegaard, so he's off the right, Ødegaard's in there. And I think this is such a good learning experience for him, because if you watch it, Ødegaard is constantly telling him where to be, when to be there. Now you press, now you don't. This is where you should be covering. And I do. I think that is such a good learning experience for him. So very impressive. We're only going to see more of him. I was actually hesitant to bring him on during that game. It was, as much as it was a friendly, it was not so friendly. And I was slightly worried that he was going to pick up an injury. And within 30 seconds, he had been clattered. But he didn't get injured. He held his own. Physically, I do think he looks fairly, physical. That's not the word. That was a terrible use of the English language. But he looks physically developed enough to play at this level. He's not getting bullied by any stretch of the imagination. So remarkable from Max Dowman. Another really good look at Martin Zubimendi. Actually played 77 minutes today. I don't think anyone played any more than him. Maybe Trossard. I can't remember if they came off at the same time. But 77 minutes against a really physical opposition, right? And probably the biggest question mark over Zubimendi, especially after there was one game where they played against United and people convinced themselves that Casemiro was quicker than him and stronger than him. Today, he played up against, in the first half, a midfield of Willock, Tonali and Bruno G. Very physical midfield, completely held his own. Joelinton then came on in the second half. He continued to hold his own. And I just really liked that performance from him. Great at winning the ball back. There were bursts of pace as well. He's not slow. nowhere near as slow as people made out. And on the ball, he's absolutely fantastic. I actually think like it's going to take time for the team to understand just how comfortable he is on the ball. There are times where he's coming and he's screaming for the ball, even though he's under pressure, and we don't give it to him because traditionally, truthfully, you'd maybe play that to Thomas Partey and he would lose it, or Jorginho, whereas I think you can play it into Zubimendi in those scenarios, really at any angle, under pressure, and then he'll find his way out of it. So his passing range, again, excellent. I think he completed 39 out of 43 passes, something like that. I remember reading the stat. And just another really impressive performance from him. One thing I did think he struggled with a little bit was not having Declan Rice alongside him. And I felt like with both of the goals, there was maybe a lack of communication between himself, Merino, and Miles Lewis-Skelly to an extent as to who should be picking up who. You know, the first goal, Tonali got away from them, made a run in behind, and then pulled the ball back into acres of space. And at no point, I think it was more on Merino personally, and that's where Declan Rice would probably have intervened. But yeah, looking forward to seeing more and more of a midfield of Zubimendi, Rice, Ødegaard. I do think that is where we're going to see the level of the midfield at its absolute best. This is interesting. Havertz and Gyökeres meeting each other in the tunnel. And you realise, by the way, here, every time I've seen Victor Gyökeres walking around, I'm like, God, he's big. Like, he's a big lad. Next to Kai Havertz, doesn't look quite so big. So we've got two proper, physical outlets up top now, but two very different players in the way that they play. And I thought Havertz had a really good game today. For the first goal, Trossard fizzed it into him. He got the ball under control with the first touch, and a lovely little layoff to Merino, who finished it well with his goal. But that was fantastic. And then for the second goal, makes a great run into the channel, fizzes a ball across himself, really good ball across. Murphy puts it into his own net, but if he doesn't, it's a tap-in for Saka at the back post. So, any idea that Gyökeres is going to just walk into this side and Havertz is going to be phased out, I don't think that is the case. That said, there are also moments in the game, 2 or 3 moments again in that game where me and the chat, if you were watching on Big Up, if you weren't, we do watch-alongs of the games on Big Up. Link is down in the description to that. But we're sat there going, if Victor Gyökeres is there, that's probably a goal. Because that ability to just sniff out the opportunity, sniff out the chance. There was one where Calafiori, from left centre-back, found himself up in the box as he does, pulled the ball across, no one's there to put it away. I think Saka pulled one across that no one was there for. I think Rice or Martinelli from the left-hand side as well. And they're those moments where I do think Victor Gyökeres will score goals for fun in this team because we do create those opportunities. But it's going to be interesting. And look, it would not surprise me if at times we see Havertz doing what Merino was doing today. That midfield role, I actually think Havertz is far more athletic than Merino, can get up and down more easily. And I think we could see them playing as a duo at times, which would be really exciting as well. You might be thinking Noni Madueke didn't play, did he? Did Madueke play? Madueke didn't play. I've not seen Madueke kick a ball in an Arsenal shirt. And yet, he is currently my preferred choice for the left wing. And that, fundamentally, is a damning indictment of where we're at the moment, I think, with Martinelli and Trossard. Both of them, again, in this game, I found very frustrating. And I do look at it and think, am I being too harsh? Am I overanalyzing them? Am I trying to find flaws in them because I really do feel like we need an upgrade there? But I don't think I am. I don't think I'm being harsh. I don't think it's unfair to say that in the first half when, the first 2 attempts that Trossard had to get past Trippier, he gets tackled, one of which gets tackled by Trippier, and 5 seconds later, they've got a corner at the other end. It was frustrating, and especially because we were playing well to get the ball to Trossard in a 1v1 situation in the first place, right? It was Zubimendi, I think, to Nwaneri, out towards Trossard, and Trossard gets the ball in a 1v1 situation that he is allowed to have because teams shift everyone across to deal with Saka. And this is what I've said time and time and time again. We need someone that on that side, in a 1v1 situation, is so much of a threat that teams won't allow it to continue to happen. Or if they do allow it to continue to happen, we'll create chances from there. And the first 2 times it happens, it gets out to Trossard, we lose the ball. And that's against Trippier. We're not talking about an elite right back here with legs. So that was frustrating. There was one moment where Trossard did skip by him, which was pretty wonderful. But that's not enough for me. And then Martinelli comes on. And again, I just did not see much from Martinelli. I still think over the 2 games that we've played so far, the best looking left winger that we had was Reiss Nelson in that 15 minutes against AC Milan. And, towards right at the end of the game, actually, we're playing in a friendly. We're 3-2 up. We've got an opportunity. We're 4-on-2. The sort of opportunity that we have not capitalized on over the last couple of years. And Martinelli just kind of slowly jogged with it. Couldn't really work out if he was going to the corner flag. Drive. It doesn't matter if you concede. It's a friendly. But we need to show that we can actually capitalize on those moments. And we didn't. And eventually, again, he loses the ball. So, yeah, I do think it's a big problem. And with Madueke, I don't know how good he can be off the left-hand side. But I know he can get past his man. It's his favourite thing to do is to take his fullback on. He said that himself. So, yeah, we're in a position where, look, we might bring in Eze. That could be an option there. I'm looking at other options within the squad. Max Dowman, I don't think he will because he's 15. Nwaneri, is that an option if we're looking at playing Ødegaard instead of Nwaneri? I don't know, but for me right now, the solution going into next season, it's just not Trossard and Martinelli. It's not, and they are frustrating. Gone the wrong way. And moving on to Nwaneri, I think he's an interesting one. Today, for me, fairly anonymous. And I mentioned that in the previous game anyway. You get moments of magic from him. I mean, today we didn't really even get any of those. But you do get moments of magic from him. And it's clear that he's an exceptional talent. But playing in midfield is more than just about technical ability. It's more than just flair. It's understanding of the game. And Nwaneri in that first half, he started the game, played the full 45 in the first half. He had 12 touches of the ball in 45 minutes. Now, to compare that to Ødegaard, who came on in the second half, played the same amount of time, Ødegaard took 24 touches. So he had double the amount of the ball. And you can tell without even looking at those numbers that Ødegaard just has a lot more impact on the game at the moment in that position. He has far more influence. He's far more involved. And Ødegaard's looking good, to be honest, right now. He looks far fitter, far fresher, far stronger. Had a nice shot from outside the box with power behind it. That's what we want to see more of. Spread a lovely ball over to Trossard, where, again, if that's Madueke out there, he keeps it in play because he's faster. And really, I've been impressed with Ødegaard in the 2 games. But this is all, again, a learning curve, right? Nwaneri's 18. We cannot forget that he is just 18 years old. The majority of 18-year-olds are still in the academy learning their craft. But going into the season, for me at the moment, I think it's quite clear that Ødegaard is the better option there. And again, we may see Nwaneri making substitute appearances off the right, off the left. Like I said, maybe he is an option off the left-hand side. We saw him off the left last season. I think it was against Girona? It was one of the Champions League games. Put a lovely ball in off his right foot. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see how that develops. But it's good, by the way, that he's getting this time. It is good that he's getting 45 minutes because he needs to learn. He needs to learn how to play there. So, all round, fairly quiet performance from him. And then the rest of the team, Ben White looking far, far fitter and fresher. Him and Ødegaard, I mean, who would have thought that when they came back, rushed back last season from injuries, they didn't look quite at their sharpest and at their best. And when they had to play when they probably shouldn't have been, they didn't look at their sharpest and their best. They've had a summer. Both of them look so much better. They look so much fresher. And White down that right-hand side provides a really good option. Saliba is Saliba. A very slight concern. Apparently, he did go straight down the tunnel when he came off for Marley Salmon. So we'll wait and see about that. A big concern, Riccardo Calafiori, again, with the injury. Went down, off the ball, seemingly, sat down on the halfway line, immediately knew that he needed to go off. And it's such a shame because, again, I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch up until that moment. Defensively looks really, really solid, really aggressive, winning the ball back, just like Gabriel. On the ball, I think he's better than Gabriel. Like I said, at one point, he's in the box, nearly getting an assist, probably should get an assist. Had a header at the back post. or that would have had a header at the back post that Pope just got a glove on. But as with Tomiyasu, availability is the best ability. And don't know what the injury is. Don't know if it's the knee again. Don't know if it was muscular. He limped off. Gutting. Like, ultimately, as it was with Tomiyasu, I don't blame Calafiori. It's just gutting. Miles Lewis-Skelly, I actually think, is still getting up to speed a little bit. On the ball, he looks fine. Trying to make things happen. I love how aggressive and ambitious he is, trying to thread the ball through the lines. I do think there's still work in that left-back area defensively. Marino, again, getting forward, I think Marino offers a huge amount, undoubtedly. The finish was really good. I do worry about him defensively, though, I have to say. Obviously, Fortmob lines it up like this. It was really Zubimendi in the 6 and Marino as the left 8. I do worry that he doesn't have that ability that Declan Rice has to get up and down and up and down. And so when he does find himself really far forward, trying to win the ball alongside Kai Havertz, in transition, we are then a little bit vulnerable. Where with Declan Rice, he's got that athleticism. And this is something that I said at the start of the summer. And I didn't think we would have the ability to address the problem anyway, just because of our budget limitations. But I do worry that Declan Rice is the only, real athlete that we have in that midfield. So that's something to look at. Zubimendi, like I said, very good. Picked up that yellow card. I love that he picked up that yellow card, by the way. Trossard off the left, disappointing. Nwaneri, like I said, a bit quiet. Saka is Saka. Looked good. But again, I feel like just needs more support from the rest of the team in terms of dragging players away from him. And that was it. Off the bench, Norgard came on, looked fine, screening really well. The youngsters again coming on were impressive. And that was it. So look, the next game will be the game against Tottenham Hotspur on Thursday. We're expecting that Victor Gyökeres might make an appearance for that one. Mosquera, interestingly, not in the squad. Arteta has said with Mosquera, he needs to get up to speed because he played in the under-21 Euros, then had a break, never went back to training with Valencia. So they don't want to rush him in unnecessarily. But look, that's it. If you've enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe. And the content is coming thick and fast with live streams. We're moving on in the transfer window now, hopefully, to Eze. And I can once again just only thank you for the support on this channel recently. It has been absolutely mind-blowing. But with that said, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest or the end now of your weekend. And I'll catch you all on the next one. But until then, goodbye.